Kia ora te whānau, nau mai ki te wānanga o ai.
Please know that we aren't experts or doctors.
We are opening up our hearts and sharing our thoughts and experiences to create a safe space to talk about sex.
To support and inform our rangatahi.
We encourage you to have an open mind and heart to this kaupapa.
This program contains strong language and sexual content intended for mature audiences only.
Viewer discretion advised.
You must be 18 or have parental approval to view this series.
Nau mai, tomo mai ki te whare o ai.
I remember the first time I ever watched porn was with my boyfriend in high school, and then all of a sudden they're having sex. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Everyone was given the task of sculpting their favourite sex position.
Here I am, spread eagle on the bottom.
Never have I ever had sex with multiple people at one time.
Like, what do you mean? Ka ngā mana whakatikitike o te ao, nau mai tomo mai ki te whare wānanga o... Ai. Ki konei matapaki hia ai, wete hia ai, wānanga hia ai, tēnei kaupapa kōrero a rā ko te ai. Me pēhea hoki e whaka Māori i tēnei wānanga ki roto i ngā hapori whānui tonu. Nā reira, kia wānanga ai tātou e wāma, me ko tahi rawa. Ki te whakamārama atu ko wai ngā kaiwānanga kei tēnei pai. Nā reira ka timata i tēnei taha.
Tēnā tātou katoa, ko te aumihi hohe patoku ingoa, no te arawa au, no te arawa whānui, no tauranga moana, no waikato anō hoki a.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe kazi. Ko tauhola sahau e te iwi, e te poke au ki mana, he paku whārua me ki te pare auraki. Anō he uri mai te tai rāwhiti whānui, te tai tokirau whānui, me kahangunu hoki.
Kia ora e te whānau, ko te One Matthews tōku ingoa. Ki te tau tōku pāpā no mani apoto ahau, ki te kuiti, ki te tau tōku māma no rahu pōkeka waikato ahau.
Tēnā tātou e te iwi, ko Stevie Davis tāna tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no Ngā Puhi, Ngāti Porou, Te Arawa me Ngāti Raukawa anō hoki.
Tēnā rawa atu koutou e te iwi ko Pere Wihongi. Taku ingoa he tangata auaha ahau, ko aku mahi he tōtō mai i a tāne te wānanga ki a tātou mahi. Nā reira.
Nau mai te wānanga.
Nau mai rā tāne te wānanga e wāma. We are going to break the ice a bit before we ruku hohonu ki ngā mahi. And we're going to play a bit of a game, guys. Now, the game we're going to play today is Point to Who, Done the Do. There it is. So, e wāma, I have this very pretty lash and red lip jar here. We have got confessions. Our kaiwānanga have already placed 2 confessions in our ipu. And I'm going to read them out one by one, or we'll have chances to read. Yes. And then, ko te whāinga nui, what we must do, the objective, the aim, is to point or to tohu, figure out who the confession belongs to. Nā reira! Woo! Here we go, drum roll please. Mea tuatahi in my hand. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, ready.
I have slept with someone nearly 30 years older than me.
Wait, Kaha.
Tahu o Pere.
You haven't even given any facts.
You're talking like a bit of cougar.
You guys are just...
I look like a bit of cougar.
I've seen
Don't put it back on me.
This is the name of the game.
Tahu,
Okay.
you look pretty old too, so you could...
I don't look old.
You don't look your age.
You do look old.
You don't look
Older.
your age. You don't
Older.
look
Older.
older than your age.
Come on, your mic, Tahu's only 22.
Only
He looks
22.
42.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
And Auntie probably thought the same thing too. So, drum roll please. Can the real Slim Shady please stand up?
I thought I was being discreet. Do you want a backstory?
Yes.
Please.
Please. We'd love
Okay.
one, actually.
I was in a vulnerable place in my life.
Oh, okay. This is. I
you
think
need
my
a
last
bit of-
week.
yeah.
I just wanted to make
You
it better.
You need
Here
a
we
bit
go.
of
I
uplifting.
split up with an ex-partner. I went to a friend's house, a girlfriend. Like, she's my mate.
Was it her mum? Got with her mum. Did you hook up with her mum?
You are a connoisseur, aren't you?
The tea is piping hot.
The tea
No, so
is hot this morning.
I was in a vulnerable place, you know. I was.
I don't know
I'm
if
trying to make
it's
excuses. It was the best time of my night.
I think it was the best time of
yeah,
the
experience.
Yeah,
Hey,
experience.
it was a good experience. It was a
Yeah.
great experience. I've never seen them again,
Probably
which
for the
is
best.
sad for me.
Your friend probably didn't like that.
Yeah.
Wait, did your friend know?
No. Still to this day.
Okay, every
'Cause
girl that you've
is
seen
it
is
her
going to be
business?
asking their mum after this.
If you were my
ladies.
friend and you
Yeah,
slept
yeah,
with
yeah.
my mum, I think I'd be wanting to know.
Where
it's
was
not
the
your-
friend? You went to the friend's house. Where was the friend?
With her partner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Keep your mamas away from tapu.
the cool girl
Okay.
hearts are
No,
awesome.
fine,
Taipo,
fine.
thank you. Right, thank you very much for those confessions. Yes, but spicy. Some of them really spicy. Hoi anō, I think it was a good game to really get the juices flowing. Because, of course, the core concept of this wānanga is to normalise discussions around ai. But it is also to re-indigenise, I guess, how we're looking at it. We are going to be interviewing guests throughout our episodes who will hopefully bring that Indigenous perspective to our wānanga as we navigate ourselves through this ao. I mean, hey, I know we might not be top dog experts. We've got our professionals. But I do believe that we have our own lived experiences that hāngai to the different communities that may be watching. For myself personally, ara ko te hunga me te hapori takatapui. Ko te tōtō mai i e nā wheako. Ai, kia whakamauri ai te noho a te hunga uenuku ara ki roto i e nei wānanga. Nā reira, nau mai te wānanga e whama. I mean, hey, let's be honest, sex isn't a comfortable topic to talk about with our whānau, for some. So we're going to go there. Why is sex a tapu topic? Why is it a tapu subject? Why do we have that whakamā to be able to speak about this kaupapa? Because I think if we can identify wānanga that before we get into the rest of our wānanga, we'll be able to really navigate the direction and where our wānanga is going to. So, mā wai a tātou kōrero i timata ake.
Ai, māku pia. Tuatahi ake e mihi ana ki a tātou. A rā hoki ngā whakaaro mo ngā mahi ai me tōna tapu. Tērā pēr kaori te tapu. Me he mai ka whakaaro whakamuri tātou ki ngā rā o mua. Ka kaha kōrerotia I kaha whaia e o tātou tupuna ngā wahine e harako te wahine, engari ngā wahine. Nā reira, I pēhea tērā āhuatanga e ata huri ki tētahi kaupapa tapu, ne? Nā reira, ara hoki te whakaaro mō ngā tāngata Pākehā I taitai mai I whakau I era whakaaro. Nā reira, anei mātou, tātou, e whakamāori ana I era whakaaro. Nā reira, tērā pea, e hara tēnei kaupapa I te kaupapa tapu I ona wā, engari kua whakatapu wā e te hunga Pākehā pea, e tātou anō hoki nā runga I te whakamā o te whakapuaki I nei whakaaro ara anei tātou e whakapuaki kaha ana I o tātou wheako, I o tātou whakaaro nā reira he tapu. No tātou tērā tapu I whakau rānei ki tēnei kaupapa. Koira te pātai. Koira hoki o ku whakaaro. He rere kē pia e tahi atu. Engari e pai ana tērā.
Heavy Western influence and how we really see it. Because it's kāna, our tupuna, we're singing about it, we're doing more out there and obviously doing it. And that was a huge, I guess, focus was procreation. E nei mahi and finding the pleasure within it as well. But we have been influenced heavily. Nā reira, hea e te atu kōrero, I guess it's having the topic in itself now a foreign topic almost, or a taboo topic to talk to your mum or your dad about. How are we speaking to our whānau about sex? Tahu boy?
I'm very open with my whānau because they've always had a safe space for us to speak about it. But yeah, going back to your conversation, your argument about it, I think that's true. It's, kari tā mai te monogamy, tēnei mea te mārena, until those fellas showed up, until the Bible showed up. That was something that our people really didn't abide by. They had many wives, or they were real open about their sex. They sung about it. So my whānau, I think the tapu kind of thing, or the taboo that we feel today, is more judgment. More judgment than anything by the society around us. It's a thing that we all think nobody does. We all know each other are doing it, but it's the judgment, it's the scare factor, which is something that I think young people really struggle with as well, would be the judgment from their whānau or the judgment for their friends. So that was something that I thought maybe keeps it tapu, is that factor of judgment.
Tautoko ngā kōrero, where we think about the arrival of the colonizers, or even before, when missionaries started showing up on our shores, we didn't have a written language. All of our stories, our pūrākau and all of that was shared through waiata, mō tea haka.
Whakairo.
Yeah, whakairo,
language.
all of it. And what they did was they provided a written language. Then they were able to put messages in a written language, and because people were able to read it, my whakaaro was that they started believing in it. And everything that was written, like, there's proof now. Like, a waiata was a waiata, and I guess our respect or our hono to those things kind of faded a little bit with the introduction of colonization. When I think, if I put my, professional hat on, again, I've been in spaces where we're re-indigenizing the way we work. We're trying to return to, a more Māori way of working, and returning to those pūrākau, returning to those haka, so that we can use that as hei tauira mō o mātou rangatahi. So that we can teach these things and remind them that our tupuna did it too. Because when you start to tell them about their history, they're like, whoa, that's something we did? Like, was that okay? We share that with them. It is very so. Koe toku whakaaro.
Reclaiming that perspective, ne? E hoa ma, I think we're going to get into a bit of a confession. Nā reira, kia koutou e mātakitaki mai ana, kua tonoa mai ētahi kōrero whakapuake. We have been sent in some confessions. We have not read them yet, so we're just going to naturally react. Hopefully we get a spicy one.
Yes,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, are we ready?
Yeah.
Me wānanga tahi tātou. Confession. First time. Oh. I come from a very religious family. My family believe that we meet our mission partner, and it is them that we shall be with forever. To spread the good word of the Lord and to continue his work. I'm a total believer of this. However, I am not attracted to the opposite sex. You can imagine my family's view on this. So basically, my first time with a guy was exciting and honestly, extremely fulfilling. Good on you, hey? I was finally able to express my true self while hiding it from my family to keep them happy and proud of me. I met this guy on Grindr. If you don't know what Grindr is, Grindr's the Tinder for takatapui. Tāne. Or takatapui tāne. His pic instantly attracted me. He was hot, had a great smile, and was open to help others explore their sexuality. It's like he was speaking to me. I sent him a message to introduce myself and my current situation. It was so random, and I don't know why I told this stranger my deepest secret, but it felt right. He was genuinely interested and was so warm and comforting. I had built a genuine connection with this guy and thought, why not? We agreed to meet up at a close motel I checked in and was waiting in the room. I had shaved from head to toe. I was nervous as hell. My palms were sweaty. And I found myself pacing the room till he messaged that he was here. He came up to the room and he looked a little different from his pic. I didn't really care. I was already invested and told myself, tonight is the night. We started kissing and touching and he went down on me. I tried my hardest to keep it in, but I popped instantly. I apologized for finishing so quickly, but he didn't mind. He was glad I wasn't mad he wasn't exactly what he looked like in the pic. I gathered my stuff and left. I was sitting in my car in my driveway trying to muster up the courage to go back inside and act as if I didn't just have my first orgasm from someone else. I've been talking to this guy still to this day. We meet up here and there and I honestly can't get enough. I'd love to come out and just be with him, but is my family's happiness more important than my own?
No. I'm straight up no.
Yeah. I agree. No.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
There's so many factors.
Yeah.
So many factors.
The hahi, tēnei mea te hahi, it's so difficult to navigate because you're born with a book of guidelines. And for me, I'm not religious, but I do love their mātāpono, wera mea, but I disagree with a lot of staple things like there's only one person. You have to get married, things like that. Sex until marriage. So for him to go out and be brave enough to go against the thing he's grown up with is pretty extreme already. And then to go against the grain again, which is be takatapui, and then to keep it a secret must be really heavy for him at this time. So I think that him expressing himself and telling his whānau will only help him.
Yeah. Pere, what do you think?
I can relate. I can relate in that I've always been feminine growing up, and my mum's always told me, actually, from a very early age, she had known that I was takatapui, just from little, I guess, traits that I've always had. But going into high school, for myself personally, my whānau, my immediate whānau isn't very religious, but my wider whānau is. And across different religions, Catholic, Mormon, and Reanga Morihu as well. So, yeah, there's that aspect to it, but I think one of the main contributing factors towards why I didn't feel comfortable with myself was, of course, the toxic masculinity that was around in my peers, in my whānau, my cousins. You can bet that, the number one insult is homo. Oh, that's gay, And so growing up, I'm telling myself, oh my God, is that bad? Is that bad? Oh, no, I'm not gay. I'm not bad. That's literally where I was in my secondary high school, in public, in front of my whānau as well. I would deny it. My friends, I was open and I was always comfortable in speaking with them, but just to, in my head at that time, to, I guess, make my whānau proud of me, there was that thought that I have to go through with a heterosexual relationship. I have to marry a wahine to have a whānau. And that's the expectation that's on me. So there was a lot of internal debate growing up that I feel has influenced, of course, my relationships and my sexuality. But I can relate to, I guess, being in that position of whakamā to come out to your whānau, to come out to anyone as well. I mean, right now I've found myself. I believe I found myself. I know my truths as well. And so now when those slurs are being thrown around at me, I'm like, girl, that isn't even offensive. Stating facts. And so I've had that flip of perspective, but I can definitely relate and empathise to that situation of that battle because, as Māori, whānau are everything. for us, you know, and so how our parents see us, how our whānau see us really impacts how we see ourselves. And so going through that myself and having to navigate that through high school, it was, I will be honest, it was traumatizing. There were traumatizing moments and I've had to, I guess, recover myself over that. But going back to this confession, I truly believe that happiness and that kind of truth shouldn't be compensated by lies and I guess by being open to our whānau. And once you can finally find that, reclaim that mana within you and own up to your truths, that's when you really start to soar. You really start to get out there. I'll be honest as well, even feminine, being quite feminine myself. Growing up, I went through a phase of being butch just to deflect off everyone assuming that I'm gay. I had already seen, growing up, and I'm not too sure if Teone can also speak on this as well, when I would go into rooms, people would already see, I would see looks and stares and people were always coming up to me, why are you talking like that? It was the common thing that would always make me question myself. And I can hear that in this confession here. Teone, what about with you and your upbringing, I guess, and coming to an ownership of bisexuality?
Yeah, I can relate on some levels. I guess the only one I don't relate to is the religious, because my whānau weren't religious. Aren't religious. However, when it comes to the whole trying to come out, it's so right. It's so hard to come out into a space where you see masculinity around all the time, and then when you start to realize you're a little bit feminine because people come up to you and tell you, oh, you sound like a girl, or oh, you got long hair, you must be a girl. And I also grew up with my dad actually calling me a faggot. And it was quite hard. For me, I just thought, oh, he's an angry man. That's just him being angry. And that's just the word he's decided to use. However, the more it happened, he started adding things like, why do you have so much girl mates? Don't you have any boy mates? And I had boy mates, but I had way more girl mates. Why? Because I felt comfortable around them. So it was really hard for me to navigate that. And I agree. The butch Teone came out. And then I thought, oh my God, when I am attracted to males. Oh, I'm not gay enough. And then I went down that, like, am I bisexual because I haven't had sex with a guy? And then all of those things, because I never had clear messages. Like, I was told by my father I was a girl, I was a faggot, and then he always tried to make me hang out with more boys. But when I move away from my papa and I look at my first cousins and all of that, I never ever had that. And which is why I believe I stayed and was able to find who I was, because my dad's one person. The rest of my whānau had me, and they do, and they respect who I am. And then I realized, you don't have to be fully feminine to be gay. You don't have to put it in your bum to be gay. And these are things I'm still trying to discover. So tēnei te mihi to our anonymous rangatahi, because it's very hard to navigate that space. And I'm glad he has chosen to do that. I would recommend that he continues to be himself. I hear many stories from people who denied that side of them and tried to follow what their whānau wanted, and then got into marriage, had children, and then cheated with a man. Why? Because
that's who they are.
That's who they are. You can't change it. When you're hungry, what do you have to do? You gotta eat. You gotta eat. Yeah, no, right.
I was gonna say I can understand the how hard it is for this person in terms of their hāhi and their faith. That I spent a good portion of my life in the hāhi. I'm not. I don't go to church now, but I can understand like that for a lot of whānau, it becomes your entire life. Everything that you do, everything that you are becomes about your faith, your belief, going to church and doing everything. And I can understand for this person how hard it is to everything that they've been taught that is bad, that is themselves, that's hard for them to come to terms with. I have friends who grew up with me in the church as well who have come out as gay, and how hard it was for them coming out to their whānau. And so I can understand, like, I absolutely would tell this person, like, be yourself, don't ever feel like you have to change who you are for your whānau. But I can understand at the same time how hard it is because, they might not be in a safe situation to be able to come out to their whānau, which is the reality for some people, is that it's actually not safe for them to come out to their whānau. And so I think, obviously we always want our whānau to be more open and understanding and, compassionate, and understanding that at the end of the day, like, this is your child, that's your baby, and the most important thing is that they are safe and that they're happy and that you love and support them.
They love.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate that for some of our whānau, they don't get that support. With the friends that I have, I know that they've told their whānau, and it was hard for their whānau at first, but they've come around, and I'm happy for them because some of them are now living their best gay lives, which I think is the best. Yes, and I just want to also say, very cool to the guy that he was talking to on Grindr, who was very amazing about the situation, and also happy to help him explore. I think that's very.
Even though he did the
kind.
catfish.
That was out of a touch.
It sounds like it wasn't that much. It might have been just a little bit bigger.
Aranga whakaro meka. Ko ngā meka e mea ana he kaha ake te ira wahine, he kaha ake rana I te ira tāne I roto I te tangata. Ko ia e whakau ana I ona hiahia ki ngā mahi ai. Engari, ko ngā āhuatanga o tōna ao e ātete ana I tōna hiahia ki te whai I tōna huarahi tika. Nā reira, ara te pātai, he mana nui ake tō harikwa, tō hiahia I ngā hiahia I te harikwa o tō whānau. Nā reira, haha pia itahi o koutou whakaro. He kaha ake tērā mana whakakuakua I a koe, whakakuakua I a rātou rānei. Koira te pātai, do you believe that your happiness is more important than having to please other people? Why is that important to you?
Well, I guess for some people, and particularly with Māori, we find happiness in serving others. And we find happiness in our whānau. And so that's why there's that huge reliance on them to, reciprocate their aroha. And when their aroha isn't reciprocated, ka raru a hine ngaro a wairua. So that's, I guess, one of the contributing factors to having that whakamā to really own your truths and come out. I also want to make note that, yes, we have made a few religious comments. E hara I te mea, e wero ana, I te hunga hahi, but let's be honest, there have been effects. I guess from colonisation and from religion on how we look at this kaupapa and how we see this kaupapa. So to our confessionee, my only advice would be your journey, you choose when you are comfortable to come out, when you are comfortable to own your truth. It isn't anyone else's job to tell you or to dictate to you who you are and when you're going to come out. Everyone's got their own journey. I mean, I didn't really openly come out until I had left Kura, but I was always open with my friends, with my sister as well. And yeah, I know that there's different journeys. Some people don't come out till their 60s, 50s as well. So each to their own journey. Mena koe nei tō huarahi, maua no e takahi. Hoi anō. I'm interested to hear some whakaro from our rangatahi, just to add a bit of discussion into our panel. Nā reira, kia tahuri atu tātou ki te whakaronga atu ki ngā whakaro a ngā rangatahi.
What are the safe sex topics to talk about with your parents, friends or whānau?
I personally don't talk about sex with my parents. I don't think that there's a safe way to talk about it.
Probably protection, I think. That's a bit awkward though.
I don't really care if sex comes up as a topic of conversation. With my whānau, we're all pretty pretty loud.
Yeah, probably not my parents. My friends. Yeah.
I reckon friends, anything's on the table.
Oh, your friends. Oh,
Anything's on the table here.
Friends, anything's on the table.
But
families are bit touchy. But like, you might have those like different family members that are pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
He mea kōrero te ai I wainga nui a koutou ko hoa o whānau rānei.
E te hio aku hoa, e hari te mea, not all of my friends.
Yeah, so like I've just said, sex is kind of a funny topic in my whānau. When I was like a little bit younger, still in my teens, I wouldn't really talk about it, but now it's all good, like I'm an adult.
You get to a point where you're safe, eh? Like,
Yeah.
To share. Yep. Like, probably like heaps with like the boys. It's like funny to talk about sometimes, like when making stupid. Yeah. But only in like a stupid sense.
Taku whānau kao. E harai te mea kāre e tāia te kōrero ki taku whānau moenei kaupapa. It's just something we just don't really talk about.
I pēhea tō mōhio mō ngā huatanga ai. AI.
Yes, tēnā koe kei te mōhio.
Ka rau te tino mōhio I pēhea taku mōhio me ke engari. Ki taku nei whakapai no roto mai ngā kiriata I te pāwhakata.
Nā aku whanaunga pakekeake I au, I whakātu mai ki a mātou ko aku whanaunga tainake I au.
Pēhea te whakāturanga.
Movies.
Ai, nā ngā kiriata, nā oku mātua, nā te mea maha ngā tamariki o tōku pāpā. Like maha.
I kā kōrerotia tēnei mea te ai, te moe, te tāne, te moe, te wahine.
No, I've probably just seen it on TV and whatnot. And at school. Or like the big kids will talk about it. But like, whoa.
Tērā pia I te wā I te whakatipu au. Ki te au te kōtiro. Ana, I Whatu ia tehi kaitimo ki au. Koira te wā I mohi au. Pai ngā wahine ki au ni.
E hara ko aua momo kiria.
Ko.
Ngari ko ngā momo kiriata ka mātaki nei aku mātua. You know, like 300. And there are some things in there.
Nā e tehi o ngā waiata hoki, pāke te whero. Hei, e kōrero ana mō tā raua haeretanga kia ai wainganui te pō. So...
Karawe hoki e ngā whakaro, and there was real consistency, I guess, with different experiences, and there was heavy whakamā to talk to mātua on there. There were very minimal that were open to speaking with their whānau. So I guess that goes to show that our experiences are relevant and that this kind of whakaro and perspective is still out there. You know, it's not just at this table, it is amongst the majority of our rangatahi. O whakaro aumihi?
Hueki te kupu mo te okwa?
Ai.
Hueki.
Honu hueki.
Ko ngā āhuatanga o tō tātou ao e whakahuiki ana I enei āhuatanga, and it's up to us kia whakaara, and I guess that's what we're doing. This is the way to normalise it ki te whakamāori I enei āhuatanga, and yeah, it's just about talking. Talking about it, experience. You may not have experience, but conversations really get it going. Koira te mea nui. So it's cool to hear that we can relate to that, because a lot of us can't talk to our parents about it. Ka taia ngā momo kōrero iti nei, e whakakata I a tātou, engari harai te mea he hohonu, kāre e taia te pātai, saying, what a good position, mum. How do you say that to your mum or to your dad? How do you say, how do I get it in at a good angle so that I feel the pleasure? You can't really say it like that, so that's why I tahi wā mā o hoa tērā. Ma o ake pea ko e whakaara I e rā hia.
And I think that's also important because that came out a lot on those interviews as well, and how we are talking about it. And actually, the majority of the conversations are funny.
Yeah.
You know, they're quite opaki. You know, so you're laughing about it, you're joking about it. Even parents, like, you know, you drop the young joke here and there, but when is that time to me okawa, ngā kōrero? When is that time to really find that comfortability with kōrero okawa around ngā mahi ai? I mean, hey, like they said, I roto tonu I ngā waiata, we have our tamariki e ai tōre ki te tamahine. You know, that's very, very explicit, you know. It's straight there,
It's
but we're
straightforward.
singing it so naturally, and we're singing it so Māori, and that conversation, that narrative has always been there. So how do we bring that okawatanga to this kōrero and make it a bit more, less, you know, for the laughs, for the shits and gigs?
It
And
seems like most parents, what I feel like a common theme is that most parents are only talking about protection. Hey, it's kind of like, okay, here's the protection talk and koina, you know. Koina te mea whakamutunga. Yeah. Te mea matua me te mea whakamutunga, you know? And so I love that we're talking about this because it's opening up opportunities for other conversations about sex, which are also important, you know, that it's not just about protection, you know, which are important talks to have, you know, but I think it is important to also have, you know, okawa talks, opaki okawa rānei, but okawa talks about other things like consent. Maybe you do want to be talking to your children about pleasure, you know, maybe you're not going to outline tēnei position, me tēnei, you know,
truths around it.
but the importance of pleasure and that sex should be pleasurable for you and your partner, you know. Talking about other things as well. And sometimes I think, you know, te mea kata kata, you know, makes it kind of
breaks the ice.
Yeah. Kia marama, you know.
It makes it feel a bit more natural.
Yeah.
If everyone's
Kia
laughing,
now,
you're like, oh, did you? No,
But for reals. I like those ones. But for reals.
Tika, tau boy, what stood out from you, from that kōrero?
Wai rereke oku tōku ao ki tā rātou, I te pake au, ki rohe whare, he kaupapa kōrero tēnei, I te ao I te pō. Ia rā, kei reira māma e aki ana au, kia kōrero ki aia. So, yeah, my mum would get vivid, like things like when I watched that, you know, the majority, and that shows the majority of rangatahi are like that. Their body language changed. Their I te mata te kōhimuhimu, you know, they start to really like shell up, and then they start to whisper. They're like, oh, just my friends, you know, like things like that. And like, bro, my mum, like I could get, like from the first time I ever had sex, my mum asked me about it. Have you had sex before? I had to say, yeah, I have, mum. When did it happen? Who was it with? How did you do it? And then she asked me, like, did you come? And I was like, yeah, I did. And then she was like, did she? And I was like, yeah. Lying, obviously. She goes, I go, yeah. She goes, no, she didn't. So that's how comfortable I am with my mum and my dad. Like, and that's where I can't relate to that because I'd never go to my mates or that shit. Because these fellas, my parents been having sex since they were 16. Now they're 40. This is 24 more years experience than us. Things like, I'd say to mum, she asked me if I'd done anal because I asked her. And I said, yeah. And she's like, did you use lube? Things like that. Did you use lube? Because, you know, the shit you watch online, the porn, it's not realistic. You need to use lube. You're going to rip. You're going to bleed. She was like, even if it comes down to it, spit, son. You know, she makes it. So she's real descriptive, and she'll make sure to like dig into me about how things are going.
That's good because I think, you know, your parents are not ashamed to give you tohu for other things, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to cross the road, hey, you need to do this. Hey, if you're going to do anal, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a haumaru.
No, I totally agree with it. Yeah, and I'm just like, how do you not live like that? But again, that's where the mana lays with the parents.
Yeah.
If they want to share about something and they're comfortable to do so, then do it. If they not, then kei te pai tērā, make sure they understand all the safety stuff. If they're
And they
not as
always had the
comfortable.
other party in mind too. Like asking things like, like, is she nice?
I think it's evident in your kōrero.
So it wasn't just about me, it was the safety for everyone involved.
Me whakakapi tonu tātou I tā tātou wānanga mō tēnei wā tonu. Anga whakamu ana. How o tātou hia mō tēnei hōtaka. As we go throughout these episodes, dissecting this kaupapa kōrero, really fleshing out this kaupapa kōrero and normalising it, are there any particular goals each of you have pertaining to this wānanga? Tau mihi?
He whakapūrangi aho I ngā ara, e pai ai tō tātou mārama ki ngā mahi ai. Koira tōku e hiahia ana koira ngā wawata mō tēnei, to open up many pathways to understand ai. Koira tāku, te one, hea o whakaro.
Ai, tautoko ngā kōrero. I agree. When we think about intercourse and awareness, it's very much, we just want to build confidence. I would like to, and Te Kawa Te Rangatahi would like to build confidence within our whānau so that they are able to make informed decisions. When they go and start exploring that they do it of a place of where they have some mātauranga, they're more confident not walking into something like, so more confident rangatahi around so that our next generation or the next reanga that come, I guess, don't have to go through what we went through, or some of us went through.
Tika. Tahu hea o whāinga nui mō tēnei hōtaka?
Moku hei whakātu ki ngā rangatahi e mātaki ana, he huarahi haumaru. Koina, kia haumaru tō rātou haerenga ki roto I tēnei ao ai, and ki tēnei kaupapa. I just want people to have a safe journey. And safety comes from knowledge, and that's education, and that's this.
Pai, rau e tēnā. Stevie girl.
Yeah, rite kia koutou, kia tūwhera I ngā kuaha. Ngā kuaha kōrero, ngā kuaha whiako pea mo etahi kaimātakitaki. Just opening up doors, I think, for people to feel comfortable to have conversations, to rangahau pea, to whai ngā rangahau tika, to feel confident in saying, okay, he Māori tēnei. Kia whaka Māori o tātou whakaro mo te kaupapa ai. So, I think just to normalise and open doors pea.
Pai ora. I agree. I agree. I really do. I think with myself personally, I really want to expand everyone's perspective on this kaupapa, and that includes bringing in and normalising kōrero takatapui in these kōrero, in these wānanga, so that we do have a safe, comfortable space to be able to talk about these things. It's one thing to talk about, I guess, heterosexual relationships, and it's still that awkward little trait to bring in the takatapui kōrero in here and there, but it's bringing that relevance to all the communities that relate and connect to each and every single one of us. So I'm really excited for that, and mainly e hoki atu ana ki te whaka Māori, o tira to re-indigenize our whakaro. I want to see how our tūpuna thought. I want to learn all of these kōrero and these perspectives so that we can share it to our kaimātakitaki with the hope that literally 10 years from now, this wānanga, this one in a lifetime revolutionary wānanga about that everyone does is something that actually is normalised. So I'm excited for this season. We've got plenty more episodes and some juicy topics to talk about as well.
I want to hear.
We're going to bring the tea,
tea.
and you know, it does require a lot of vulnerability from us as kai wānanga. So thank you very much for stepping into the role and responsibility of this mahi so that our wānanga can hopefully help someone someday too. Hoi anō, e nei kōrero e tāpai atu ana me te aroha nui ki tā tātou kaupapa, ki tō tātou iwi Māori, me a tātou rangatahi anō hoki. Hei kupu whakamutunga e hoa mā, kia maharatia te ture, tā kaya, tō ure. Ka kohi ake I te tapu ngā kōrero, ka whakairihi ake ki runga ki a tēnā.
Tēnā.
Haunge hui e.
Tāiki e.
Mauri ora e te iwi.
Mauri ora.
Mauri ora.